Man, the shop looks really nice on video, don't you guys think? Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our monthly meeting. Nice brisk day out there. Getting dark early, so we're turning into the holidays. So I hope you all are ready for a great Thanksgiving next week. I want to say welcome to all of our first-time guests. Do we have any first-time guests here tonight? Awesome. Thank you guys for being here. That's I'm glad you heard about us and decided to come give us a visit. Do we have any new members here tonight that are here for the first time? All right, even better. And those of you that are here and are not members yet, we'd love it when we greet you as new members too. So we're very proud of what we have here. We say that, I guess, with good humility also, but we think we have a great Woodworkers Guild here, and so we would love anybody who would want to consider being a member. We think I think most of us will say it's been a great thing for us. I want to welcome those that are watching us on YouTube or on Facebook, so a shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm going to do things as usual before we get into the regular business meeting. I just wanted to offer our condolences to the John Tegler family. A lot of you know that John passed away. I think it was this past week, and John was a very important part of our community here for many, many years. Of course, he did the Scroll Saw Sig for the last several years ongoing, and he's been a good source of assistance around. He's given a lot of his time, given a lot of his knowledge. He's also was always good for a smile and a laugh. We've all kind of had a lot of fun with him over the years, so he will definitely be missed. And our condolences to John's family, and of course all of you. A lot of you were good close friends as well. So farewell, John, and rest in peace. So now we're going to buzz through the meeting. Like you all know, I like to run through quickly. We have a lot of officers here tonight, but they said there's nothing to report, so we're just going to skip on down. So the first thing, I wanted to say thank you for the newsletter. I completely forgot to send my article in for the newsletter, so thank you, Ron, for covering for me. And so any of you that want to write an article, we would love to see it. So please send in articles to the newsletter email. And I just want to thank the newsletter team for doing such a great job again. Don has magazines for sale and books for sale tonight. Do you still have your normal deal? No books for sale tonight. I know some new books came into the library, so I was in there earlier and I saw a book that caught my eye. So you guys might do the same. Lots of great material to check out. I know, especially when I was in that avid couldn't get enough phase, man. I couldn't get enough books, so we have a great collection in there. So check it out. Magazines are 25 cents or 5 for $1. So fantastic deal right there. Want to remind everyone you can check us out on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. We have a Facebook group. We have an Instagram account. If you're putting your work on Instagram, we would love it if you would tag the guild and get some engagement out there on social media. That's something that we do use, and I think that we could probably get our name out there even more if we got a lot of collaboration. And then if you haven't checked us out on YouTube, we have a YouTube channel. We have videos of our skill builders, videos of our meetings and our presentations. Lots of good material from several years ago. We're up to 490 subscribers, so we're getting close to that 500. So if you haven't subscribed, please go do so, and you might enjoy the videos. So I'm going to reach out to Chris now if you want to come talk about AV and events. I know we have a huge event coming up.
So this weekend is Santa's Workshop. Real quick, who's worked Santa's Workshop before? A couple people. Who knows about Santa's Workshop? Anyone? Okay. So if you haven't heard, this weekend is Santa's Workshop. Lifetime to date, we've given out almost 1,000 toy trucks for free to kids. They come in, they start in the shop, we hand them a raw block of wood. They go through the whole process and hand it off to all the elves that will make a different cut on the table saw, bandsaw, and et cetera. They're going to go to the hand tool room and assemble them, and then when they're done, so we might have some special guests here.
How are you?
So,
I don't care.
so we're going to do assemble the toy trucks in Santa's in the hand tool room. You distract me. And then Santa or a guest will inspect their toy truck and make sure it's good to go. So we're having a really great response. Check your emails because we need volunteers. We cannot do this event without you guys. So we need green tag volunteers. So if you're a guild member, we need volunteers to run the machinery. We also need volunteers who maybe not are green tags. So it can be your spouse, your kids, whatever. They can help with the assemblies. So we really need your help on those. So please check your sign up on that. We have lots of signups for Saturday. We're really short on Sunday. So if you're available on Sunday, please come out on Sunday. And then lastly for events, next month, December, will be the Christmas dinner, and that sign-up will be going out this week. So check your emails for that sign-up for that. Yeah.
What about sellers?
Yes. Also, the shop's going to be set up similar we had it for First Friday. So there's still some time to sign up if you want. You can bring in your items for sale. Guild takes a commission of that, but then we get you pay you for your items. So, yep. Do you have anything?
Why would anybody want to come and share their joy of the craft with children?
So, those that haven't been to Santa's Workshop, it is a lot of fun. I can't look at you.
Horrible use of your time. You should stay home.
It is a lot of fun. I haven't, other than some people, I haven't had anyone who said it was a waste of time. But it's a lot of fun seeing the kids. All right. It's a lot of fun seeing the kids and their reaction to getting a wooden truck. And it's really cool for them that they get to see how their toys are made. instead of just going and buying them on Amazon. So,
All right, yeah. Come on and volunteer if you can. Look for those sign-ups, and we don't want the Grinch to be happy. We want the Grinch to be sad. So, all right, thank you guys for that. Membership, Carol, do you want to come and give an update?
We have 838 members as of tonight. Ron wrote a wonderful article, but he did not mention Alan, and he did not mention Brian, who are also doing an immense amount of work for membership, and I want to thank them. I'm going to start something new. I'm going to print out the newsletter and put it in a binder. It's currently sitting up at the front counter, but I think I'm going to put it in the kitchen. So if you don't get a chance to read it online, there'll be a hard copy here. Membership drive starts tonight. So if you're going to renew, you can start doing it tonight. Everybody knows about if you're an existing member, you get 10% off until January something. Gift certificates are available. Merchandise is in the works, but it's not, it's going to get there, I promise. I put something in the newsletter about a special for members. We're going to try and drive more members in here next year. And if you're an existing member and you can get 10 people signed up in 2025, you get 2026 for free. We want those people that you know would be good members, and that's the best way to do it. I also started a new thing called Know Your Foreman, and it's going to list in there what each of our foreman's specialty is, so you know who to go to when you want to find out information on a specific project that you're working on. There you go. That's it. Okay.
Awesome, thank you. Where would I go if someone needed to carve a ball and claw foot? Never mind. Never mind. I'm kind of the ball and claw foot guy. One thing, I think the membership drives have been great. It was pretty funny. I wasn't really connecting that Saturday, but Saturday I was working with a friend and I needed a part for my router table, and I did a quick trip to Woodcraft, and I was talking to Alex. He's like, "There's a surprise back there." I said, "What is it?" And I walked back, and there was Carol and assistant there signing people up or selling the guild. And then my buddy Scott, I tried hard to get him to sign up, but he didn't do it. So we need to keep working on him. Yeah, he's not my friend anymore. Just kidding. Tonight we have a great program. So George is going to talk about the scroll saw. Safety committee, Steve, do you have any announcements tonight? Safety committee meetings are the second Tuesday of the month at 7. It says Tuesday on the sheet, so Wednesday.
That's wrong. Hi, everybody. Finally, and I've talked about this several times, but we are on the cusp of making 3 new safety videos available to the general membership. They are one on SawStop table saws, one on the Festool domino joiner, and then the last one that we did is personal safety / general shop safety rules, okay? So those, I'm not really good at the whole Google environment, but we finally got them to where Chris McCauley can actually post those and make those available. Chris?
So those will, this weekend I'm a little busy with Santa's workshop, but we will get those up within this next week, so probably after Thanksgiving, and I will get those to Brian to get an email out to you so you can see those new videos.
Thank you very much. So real quickly, my thanks to, a bunch of people. We've had Bill Mantia, who is our videographer and is kind of the director of the, shooting most of the videos. Talent, we had Mike Blake, is most recently with Shop Safety Rules, did just a fantastic job. the one on the Festool, the talent there wasn't so talented. It was actually me, so that would be one of the ones you would, see later on. But we got the message, I guess, across. And who else did we have, Ron? Oh yeah, Marcel Bredemeyer did the first one on SawStop. So my thanks to all of them. Also to Chuck Saunders for writing a script, Ron Haw, and then one that I did myself as well. So look forward to those. I know you're going to run right out as soon as that's posted and watch those, but those will be available. So thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. So Rough to Ready, head by John Sloss and then a whole crew of volunteers. There are lots of classes available. If you don't know what Rough to Ready is, that's a class where you can learn how to take rough stock to ready to go, and it also stands in as your safety orientation. If you're a member and you want to get certified to use the shop. Sponsorship, Dwayne, I know he has lots of good items over there for the raffle. Looks like 8 items back there, and we are still doing the raffle of the router table, right, Dwayne? So that's a special raffle going on. And any other announcements, Dwayne? Okay. Couldn't see you back there. So we're going to move on. Rich, do you want to do a training update?
I'll be brief. Couple things. Just this last week, the holiday quickies sign-ups have gone out. Those are filling up very quickly. If you haven't had a chance to see that, those went out on Tuesday. And we had 4 different real quick little projects. What a holiday quickie is, it's a project that you can complete in one evening, and it's usually a lot of fun. So, and then also the skill builder. This is coming up on December 7th, and that is going to be showing how to use the Martin sliding table. So that big table saw back there that Chuck's been playing with. Chuck's going to show us all how to use it now. So that's going to happen on December 7th. And then last, this is just hot off the press. On December 15th, we're going to have another laser box class. And that is going to release for enrollment this coming up Tuesday at 7 o'clock. So if you've been wanting to take a laser box class on using the laser, that's going to release just this Tuesday. So there you go.
Awesome. Thank you. So now we're going to go through and talk about the SIGs. We have several SIGs, which are special interest groups that meet monthly, and I'm just going to go down the list. The hand tool SIG is not going to meet this month, so we can jump over that real quickly. But that's a monthly meeting just to talk about, use, experiment, learn about hand tools. And Wayne Peterson, who is there, is a lead on that. If you have any questions about that, wood carving, that's Dan Rubidoux, Jim Brock meet monthly, the 4th Tuesday of the month. So the next one would be November 26th. So you're going to meet this week coming up. And if you have anything different than this, but Dan usually says, if you're interested in carving at all, whether it's power carving, traditional carving, folk carving, any type of letter carving, chip carving, they're the people to talk to. What's that? Turkey carving will be next Thursday at your house. So on November 27th, the laser engraver group will meet. That's the 4th Tuesday of the month at 7. So that's led by Curtis. You can, and you're going to come up, Craig, and have an announcement on that. You can also if you ever want to get trained on the laser engraver, that's the time to come as well.
So we won't have a program for the laser SIG next. Move this way, okay. We won't have a program for the laser SIG, but we will have show and tell and training. So if you want to get trained, to laser something for Christmas, Thanksgiving Eve is the day to come, because I will stay here and train all the people that want to be trained on using that. All right?
Okay, great. The laser's been pretty popular, but you do need to know what you're doing. I wouldn't have I basically know where it is. That's about it. The CNC group is led by Gary, Melky, and Ed Stewart. That group meets the third Monday of the month from 6:30 to 7:30. So that next meeting is December 16th. I haven't seen Ed or Gary tonight. So, but the CNC is no meeting next month. Okay, that I need to update my sheet. So thanks for letting me know that. No meeting in December. And the next Guild meeting is December 18th, and Chris hit on it, but that's our yearly holiday dinner, a Christmas dinner. So we'll have that catered in, and there'll be a sign up. We ask the members to bring dessert, so look for that sign up and come join us. We had a really last year we just were in the shop before we even had the shop, so it was kind of fun. And I'm sure it'll be a great time as well this year. So we'd love to see everyone. I'm getting ready to hand this over to Kevin to do show and tell. But so if you have a show and tell item, you can go ahead and kind of get in line and get ready. One reminder, if you have questions, we have microphones, because otherwise the people online and when we have the videos, you can't hear it. And then when you're up talking about your anything, if you're talking about your show and tells, just make sure you have the microphone up close to your mouth. So when it gets down here, you can't hear. So you guys know that. So those are reminders, and I'll hand it over to you guys for show and tell.
Thank you. Les, are you up first? There you go.
Okay, I brought a couple things. By the way, this is my first box ever. I've been doing woodworking all my life, and I made a box, but it was by accident. I had this piece of maple burl that I was going to put on the lathe and make a vase. Had a big knot in it, blew out, so I sat down and I looked at it for a while, cut it off, hollowed it out, and it became a box instead of a vase. So it's burl maple, sapele, and the handle is ebony. So my first box.
Where you put the box, Les?
I don't know. I'll figure that out later. A couple of weeks ago, I bought this Woodworkers handbook put out by Walker Turner from a guy on Facebook Marketplace. I like Walker Turner stuff, and this is from 1932.
Your mic.
And it's got a lot of beginner furniture, supposedly. It doesn't look like beginner furniture to me, but when I got it and I'm looking at it, and I start looking at all these veneer medallions that Walker Turner put out, and I thought, those look familiar. I have them. These are from 1930. Walker Turner put them out. I bought these from a kid on eBay. They belonged to his grandfather. And he found them in the bottom of his toolbox. And actually, I only bought 4 of them. These are for bookends, this one is. But when he mailed me the 4 that I won, nobody bid on the rest of them, so he sent them all to me, which was kind of cool. But there's bookend ones here, which is, I have these 2 that are in the book. And farther back in here is a project for a jewelry box. And it has this one on the jewelry box. And it's thicker than 1/42. These are thick pieces. but these things are 90 years old. There's several of them here, several different. I have 3 of them that are not in the book. But anyway, I just thought it was kind of cool that that happened that way. And then also, did you get my pictures, Chris?
I didn't get a chance to get them pulled up.
Les, what did those cost in 1930? Any idea?
These packages say 10 cents. They've got 10 cents on there. Some of them have $1. This one has 5 cents. There's no date on these packages, so I never knew, you know, where they were from until I got this book, which was put out in 1932. And also, there's a bandsaw in this book, which I have. There's a lathe in this book, which I have. And there's also what I call a Fordham on steroids. It's a big heavy metal plate and a motor on it and a big heavy shaft. I have that also. But it was really interesting to get the book and to find out that I had those. Did you get it, Chris?
I'm not going to be able to get them pulled up today.
Okay. Well, anyway, I sent some pictures in. My pickup, I have a topper on it, and it's a Nissan, and it has rails in the bed, you know, to put tie downs and stuff on. Well, I made a slide that uses those rails, and it's all carpeted and painted black to match the truck, and the tailgate on it flips down and it'll pull out. Slides really nice. It's really cool. I finally finished that. That's one of my retirement projects. I've had it in the truck for a long time, but I never made the end gate. That's it.
Thank you, Les. What kind of sticks do you have today?
These are what I call beaver chews. I find these on the river, left over from the beaver, and so they chewed on them. They chewed the bark off. That's where they get
Microphone.
their nutrient. It's not working. Okay. Is it close enough? Close enough. All right. Well, anyway, these beaver chews I
Grab
find.
the green one.
Do what? It's not working.
We're going to change it out to the green. Okay.
Battery must be dead. Okay. These beaver chews I find along the river. I usually paddle the Current River or the Niagara River or the Buffalo River. Those are one of my favorite rivers in the Ozarks. Anyway, so I collect them and I use them sometimes for decoration on birdhouses and that kind of thing. But about 15 years ago, there was a woodworker, member of the Woodworkers Guild, that was retiring to Arizona, I think it was. And he, as a hobby, I think he's the hobby, he showed me his basement. He restored musical, I call them music boxes, but they're like old radios, old Victrolas, that sort of thing. And so he was getting rid of all of his wood, a bunch of cherry. I wanted a bunch of cherry, and so I got the cherry wood. But he had everything else, and he had this about 20 or 30 boards about like this. And I think he told me it was American chestnut. And so I brought a piece in a couple of meetings back and had our resident forester look at it, Matt Novak. And he agreed it's either chestnut or it could be sassafras, but if you cut into it, it doesn't smell like root beer, which is sassafras would smell like root beer. So anyway, he was pretty certain it was American chestnut, which is a wood that died off about the 1920s because of a blight, a fungus that came over from, I believe, Asia, China. Anyway, so I usually make Christmas gifts. I usually make birdhouses, that kind of thing. this year I thought, I was looking at that scrap wood, and I go, what am I going to do with it? Because there's nothing really big about it. So I decided to make a coat or a hat rack out of it, and so that's what it is. And I finished it with Danish oil, natural, and that's the color. It's kind of a pretty kind of warm brown. So anyway, and whatever this wood is, it's whatever's along the river. It could be willow, could be sometimes eastern red cedar. So anyway, I just call it beaver chews. So, and I had a little discussion with Russ Amos about beaver. He goes, "Oh, I don't like beaver." I said, "Well, a beaver is a keystone species. If you take the keystone out of an arch, it collapses. Well, the same thing if you take the beaver out of this ecosystem, it collapses. And so it provides a lot of biodiversity. It dams up rivers or dams up streams and creates its own ecosystem. So we really do underappreciate the beaver as an animal. So they do. They used to. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you so much. All right, here you go.
Thanks. Hello, my name's Doug Courtwright, and I've been a member now since August. Doug Courtwright. Did you get that? And I've been making trays and picture frames. That's a compass star. It was a lot of fun making that. And it's made basically walnut and oak and cherry on the inside. Cherry on the outside, has a little mahogany in there too, and a maple trim. And I love to do inlays and stuff, so it's gonna make a lot of walnut things. I love walnut and maple together. Is that better? And you can kind of see the picture frame, and it's fun to make the little stands for them. And this was a project I just kind of saw online and watched them do a weave, and kind of figured it out on my own and made a tray out of it. And it's all inlaid, and then if you look closely, this right and left part are they're resawed lumber from that piece, and just made a mirror finish of that. So that was a lot of fun. And oops. And this one here was a project I just learning how to do inlays, and I just crossed the oak and walnut in there, the inlay, and a mahogany and a maple outside. But I took forever. I made a whole bunch of strips. I made this way in the angle, and then cut them so they'd be like that, and so they make an inlay for that. So. Then anyway, it's a lot of fun trying to figure it out. Little stands go with them. And this one here was actually, I was making it, and I made a mistake. And so I already had everything made, and so it was too short. So like, how can I do that? So went back and made maple corners. Yeah, that's exactly. And it has this little stand, but anyway, made lots of those, and not, I mean, that particular one, but lots of mistakes. But anyway, thank you for having me. A lot of fun. I need to learn that from here. I'm new, so yeah, they're just polyurethane, but I got to learn to make something that makes them look a little better. But anyway, they turned out okay, but I'm sure they could be better.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank goodness the Grinch didn't steal the real Santa Claus or Kris Kringle. Fred, tell us about your carving.
Well, I carved this out of a rough out. It's made out of basswood and is painted with acrylic. I put an undercoat under it and then come over it so it showed the shadows and things. I carved the back a little bit. And I'm going to give this to the little boy that lives next door to me for Christmas. He's going to be 4 months old. It'll be a while before he realizes what it is. But anyway, that's what I got.
So it doesn't look like a throne, but it does look like a nice, comfy chair. Tell us all about it, Greg.
I use 3 different kinds of wood. The legs are fir. The slats are oak. And then most of the rest of it's pine. And I stained it with a general finish nutmeg stain, and I really screwed it up. And so I sanded it all the way back down to bare wood and stained it all over again. But I did the design in a CAD program and then cut patterns and made it. And I've done something that's a little unusual, I think. It's got French cleats to hold the seats in. And I used quarter round so that it could flex a little bit. And so it wouldn't tear things up when it moved. When I cut the legs out of fir, I found this beautiful piece of fir with no knots in it. It was a 4x4 at one of the big box stores. And there was nothing else in there that was even close. But I cut the front 2 with the grain running this way, and I wasn't paying much attention, and I cut the back ones with the grain running this way. And the back ones warped 1 inch out of square just from cutting them the different direction. So I learned a lesson, something I hadn't realized before. I did, with Craig's help, I did the side slats on the laser machine and cut them all the way out from a blank. So, and he helped me a lot. Let's see.
Does it completely break down?
It did until I put the handrail on, and I couldn't figure out how to do it and make it all break down. It's actually a prototype. I wasn't thinking about building a chair. I want to build a couch. And so the ends would be the same, and the slats and everything would be the same, just be 3 of them. So hopefully down the road, I'll have a couch.
Questions? What is the flower that's in the slats?
Well, it's supposed to be a ginkgo leaf, because it's a mission style. And I had never done, they call it a tusk tendon, is what I learned when I read about it. I'd never done that before. I'd never tried to do something like this. And then I used pocket screws on the back and I'd never used those before. So I did a bunch of things I hadn't done before, but it was fun. I learned. Some of it the easy way and some not so easy. Yeah.
Did you make the bushings?
I bought them, and a friend of mine cut. I actually ended up buying 2 of these, and a friend of mine cut the short one down. And it's from some Chinese place because they were cheap.
We're not in the woodworking guilds. We don't do upholstery.
Any more
Any other
questions?
questions? What CAD program did you use?
Oh, it's the last version of AutoCAD Lite that they sold with a DVD. So it's a 2000 version. So been around a long time.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Okay, everybody. Cal had to leave. He actually had to go back to work tonight, so I'm going to finish up. I want to thank everybody for bringing in your show and tell stuff, and we're going to take a few minutes for a break, and 10 minutes. So we'll get back here in about 10 minutes, and George is going to talk to us about the scroll saw then.
Our presentation today will introduce you to the requirements for the safe use of our Holtz-Hair 1265 Supercut panel saw. Hi, my name is Mike Jones, and welcome to another edition of the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild's ongoing series of machine safety videos. Now, normally, our videos only cover the safety concerns of our machines. However, we're taking this opportunity to introduce you to how to use the Holtz-Hair Supercut panel saw. This saw is relatively easy and safe to use, but there are specific steps you need to master to use this saw. Remember, if you need assistance or guidance on the use of this machine or any other machine in the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild shop, you should seek out one of the on-duty foremen for assistance. To get started, first make sure the area around the saw is clear of any obstructions or obstacles that might interfere with your work. To the left and rear of the saw, you will find the power switch, which is a red rotary knob, and a compressed air supply valve, also with a red handle. Turn the power switch on and turn the air on. The air is on when you have the handle of the air valve running parallel to the supply line. If either of these steps are left out, that machine will not start. The Holtz-Hair Supercut panel saw is capable of cross-cutting or ripping stock up to 72 inches wide by 12 feet long. This saw is made for handling large 4x8 sheets of plywood. This panel saw eliminates the need to wrestle with a 4x8 sheet of plywood on our cross-cut or rip table saws, and the accuracy is every bit as great. To start, determine what is the best way to optimize your rip or cross-cut of your sheet goods. If you intend to rip the 8-foot length of your sheet stock, it's best to lay the sheet on its long side on the base track. You also have the ability to rip your stock on the mid-rail supports if you want to rip or cross-cut narrower stock. To cross-cut stock vertically, you can do so with stock up to 72 inches in size. First, ensure that the orange saw head is oriented for vertical cutting. The blade guard, which is the white portion of the saw assembly, will be vertical. You'll need to set the indexing bar into the stop that is marked at the top of the machine. This positions the saw to cut your vertical cut. Next, set the depth of your cut according to the thickness of your sheet stock. The scale on the side of the adjusting bar has a white scale that allows you to easily set that depth of cut. This also prevents the saw from cutting into the backing rack. Next, Set the stop block to the width you intend to cut. Again, there is an easily accessible scale to set the width of your cut and position your stop block. By pulling down on the stop block at the appropriate width, this will lock your stop at your desired width. Pull your sheet stock to the left and set it against this stop block. Next, you will set the cut depth pressure wheel, which also has a scale showing the material thickness that you are cutting. This is adjusted by using the clamp lever at the end of the cut depth pressure wheel. By setting this correctly, this prevents you from cutting too deep and into the backing rack. The two black handles attached to the saw head should be disengaged by pulling out and pushing the saw head to the top of your stock in a position to start your cut. At this point, the white spring-loaded blade guard should only overlap the top of your stock by roughly 1 inch. Turn the saw on. That's the green button on the right. You engage the saw carriage by using the two black carriage handles and push in and pull down once you have the pressure wheel touching the face of your stock. Now pull down on the black handles, moving the carriage all the way down to complete your cut. When the cut is complete, release the pressure on the black handle so that the saw blade retracts away from the material and then turn the saw off. Return the saw head to your start position at the top of the sheet. Wait for the saw blade to stop rotating and then remove your cut-off material. If you have multiple cuts to make at that first dimension, move your stock to the previously set stop and repeat the steps that we just went through. If you have material you want to rip, place your sheet stock on the base track or fold down the mid-backing supports to raise your material to a more comfortable height. When ripping stock on the Holtz Hair Supercut panel saw, the rip cut goes from left to right. So you need to set your stop to the right side of your material. This will ensure that the material is held in place while you perform your rip cut. To orient the saw head for rip cutting, you will need to rotate the saw head. This is done by rotating the saw head counterclockwise to the horizontal position. Secure the locking lever back into that locked position by rotating it to the right. This is the lever with the black knob located under the saw. At this point, you'll need to make sure that the indexing bar is disengaged by lifting the bar on the right side of the saw head. At that top rail, you see the arrows indicating the détentes for that indexing bar. That bar will only lock down at those locations marked by an arrow. This indexing bar has to be released to do a horizontal rip cut. You will need to position the saw head at the proper point to make your rip cut. Again, using the vertical orange scale on the machine to set the width of your rip cut. Make sure that the 3-inch locking knob is turned to the right to lock the saw in place. This also engages the pneumatically controlled backing rack, and it will position itself so that the saw blade does not cut into the backing rack. What that does is that puts the blade in between the back rails and locks the saw in vertically. Turn the saw on with the green button on the right. Using the two black handles on the saw carriage, push in and engage the blade into your stock and push the assembly to the right. As you make your cut, be aware when you have cut approximately halfway into your total length of cut, insert a shim or a wedge in the already completed kerf. This helps support your material so that you can complete your rip cut and not pinch the blade and possibly damage your stock. Disengage the saw carriage and turn off the power with the red button. Return the saw carriage to the start position at the left side of the sheet. When the saw blade has stopped rotating, remove your cutoff piece. This is Mike Jones for the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild. Thank you for watching.
Let's wrap up our conversations. Got about a minute left, guys. Let's go ahead and wrap them up. Find our seats.
All right, everybody about ready? All right, here with me is, excuse me, here with me is George. And George has been a member since like 1918 or something. George is going to talk to us tonight about the scroll saw and some of the things that you can do with that. You know, we have six scroll saws here, so without further ado, I'll let George talk to you.
Yes, I do.
Yes, it's right there.
Yep, George, you're good. Yep. Talk. It's muted. It's muted. Just a second.
One, two, three. Okay. Tonight I'm talking to you about the scroll saw. And we've also heard about John Tigler. John Tigler was the one that got me stuck on the scroll saw. So you can blame him for me being up here. Hell of a nice guy. I'm sorry he's not with us. First thing is that you can do a lot of things with a scroll saw. You can do fretwork, you can make bowls, you can make boxes, intarsia, marquetry, puzzles, and toys. Here is a couple of examples of marquetry. These were made by Dave Roth. Intarsia, just go around and look at the beautiful logo of the guild right in front of right below the membership desk. David Roth made that. If you want to get into either one of those, I recommend you talk to David Roth and not me. I mean, Dave is an excellent scroller. I mean, that's all I can say about that. You can also, this is an example of fretwork, just for a little clock. And here's another example of fretwork, a basket that Wayne Albright made. I said you can make bowls. And this was made by one flat board. So you can do that. You can also make little boxes. And some of these, you know, like I teach that bandsaw box class, you could literally take the same idea that you have there and use a scroll saw and make another one. It's just that it'd take you longer. Puzzles. This is just one, and as Matt wrote in the program deal, I've made over 200 puzzles now. I will be here Saturday and Sunday to sell them, so if you need a gift for for somebody to stop by and look at them. Now, as far as the scroll saw itself goes, can you follow me? Up here we have the light, and what that does is it puts an intense light down on the working surface so that you can see the lines easier. We have a speed control here so that you can do it nice, and you can change the speed that you want to go. Like for thicker wood, I usually speed it up a little bit, and then when I get to real thin wood, I will crank it back down slower, so because of the way it grabs and feeds itself, wants to feed itself, it just goes so much faster that I have to slow it down. The on-off switch is here. We do have one over here that has a pedal on it, a foot pedal that you can run, which is nice because you can have both hands on your work and start the machine. And it's a dead man switch, so you lift your foot and it stops. And it does not work like the accelerator on your car. The more you push down, it does not go any faster. This is the motor. One of the biggest problems I see with people using the scroll saw is they don't clean it up afterwards. This is important. One area that people miss most of the time is right down here, in this area right here, because sawdust will get accumulated there, especially if you see sawdust on the bottom of the stand or on the floor. It's dirty up there because it had to come from there to get down to there. Please clean them up. Also, when you get done, you have that blade. Either throw it away or take it with you, because the next person is not going to know what size or type of blade it is, and they'll throw it away. So just don't leave it. If you want to use it for another project, put it in your toolbox and take it home with you, and then you can use it the next time you come in.
What happens to your work if that gets all gunked up and underneath there?
It doesn't impact it a whole lot, but it just, oops. But it doesn't really gum it up, but it just looks messy. And I have came in at times and there's been a good thick layer of sawdust underneath the plate there. So clean it up. I mean, that's what you do with your saw at home. Well, other than Craig. We also have this knob here, which is for you tighten it up to hold the blades on. You have this here. People ask, well, what is that for? It's a puffer. And what it does is you point it down onto your wood in front of, just a little bit in front of the blade, and it will blow the sawdust away from it, so it makes it easier to see your line. However, unfortunately, some of the time it doesn't work as nicely as you have to, so you have to use your mouth and blow some air across it to clean it up. This here is the tension on it. You want to have the blade taut. And usually when you get it to about high C, right in that area, it's about the right tension. If you have a blade that's too loose, it's going to be harder to cut with, and it won't be nice and straight.
George, do you have that blade tightened up to the point where we can hear a high C?
Yes.
Could you do it for us?
George, can you repeat the question because we couldn't hear it?
He was asking if I could show and what it was like. In just a second.
While you're putting that saw blade in, George, how thick of wood is too thick?
Okay, the maximum thickness that you can cut on a scroll size is about 1/2 inch to 2 inches. But at 2 inches, there's a very good possibility that the head, this upper head up here will be bouncing on the board a little bit. I'd say probably the maximum you'd really want to go is about 1/2 inch and a half. Oops. What?
Get in front of it.
Dang it. It's,
Yeah, it does that sometimes.
yeah.
So sometimes what happens with these blades is George is putting in here, is sometimes that knob will come loose from the nut. And sometimes what you have to do is take that whole screw out. There it goes again. Take the whole screw out and put sandpaper on the edge of it.
And
Go ahead.
on a lot of times on blades, what I'll do is I'll take a piece of sandpaper and just sand the ends of the blades to rough it up a little
And
bit.
that works too.
And we also have a tool over there that has a notch on the end of it
Tension on it.
so that you can tighten it harder when you get old and your hands don't work as well.
I'm going to take it over here
Okay,
and use one of those. Try one of those.
okay. As far as wood, you can cut wood, as everybody knows. You can also cut thin metal. You can cut ceramic. You can also cut paper. And of course, you can cut veneer with it too.
Different blades?
You'd probably use different plates. Like for tiles, you would use what is called a crown tooth, and basically it kind of looks like a crown and it cuts in both directions. You can also cut plexiglass on them. But mainly all I do is cut wood with it. As far as thickness goes, the size of blade is a lot of times is determined by the thickness of the wood and what you like. Because the blades come anywhere from 0.3 all the way up to a 12. And they also have what's called a spiral blade, which is twisted so it can cut in any direction. And it takes practice to use it. We have one member that swears by them and he uses them all the time. For me, I use there's also different types of blades. There's a regular blade, which just looks like a saw does. Then they have a skip tooth. Take the saw blade and cut off every other tooth. That'd be a skip tooth. They also have a double tooth, where they have 2 teeth, a space, and then 2 more teeth and space. There's also some other modified ones where there's 2 cutting down, and then the next tooth cuts up. And that's to help clean out it. And it causes a little bit more chatter, but it's really nice to use. Then also, if you open up, if you see a package and it says like number 5R, what that R refers to is reverse tooth. And what that is at the bottom inch of the blade, all the teeth point up. So that it cuts from the bottom into the wood. And that is to prevent tear out.
George, what does the size mean? When you say an 03 to a 12, what is that referring to?
How big the blade is. Chris, can you get this on the overhead? Okay. This blade right here is a 3/0. See how thin it is. Over here I have a number 9. You can tell quite a bit of difference between the two of them. The one I like the most is a number 5. I have used a lot of number 4. Probably what you'll end up, if you start cutting and you start using the scroll saw a lot, you're going to find a blade that you like. And that's the blade you'll be using. And it won't matter what the thickness is. But for puzzles, most of the time it's 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, which is great for a number 5.
Do you use a different blade for harder versus softer woods?
For the density of the wood, whether it's hard or soft, does not really make a difference on which one to use. I mean, most of my puzzles I cut out of poplar, but I have cut them out of oak and walnut and maple.
How long do the blades last typically, and how expensive are they?
You get them a package of 12, and they're about $4. For me, typically, I use, when I cut out a puzzle, when I get done with it, I throw that blade away and go to and use a new one for the next puzzle.
Put that pin next to there so we can see that size comparison of those blades.
As you can see, they're quite a bit smaller. This one here is about 1/100 of an inch thick and about 1/100 of an inch depth. Over here, I think it's 2/100 of an inch, and I think about 5/100 of an inch in depth. So they aren't very big. And some of you are going to say, well, how sharp a corner can you make? You can go almost a complete 180. It takes practice, and some days I do a great job on corners, and other days they aren't corners. I mean, but I do it because it relaxes me. A lot of you are going to say, well, I don't have the patience for it. I hate to tell you this, but I don't have the patience to make furniture. So, again, come out and try it. I'm going to be having quickies in December, and they'll be making Christmas ornaments on a single layer and multiple layers out of 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch plywood. I will be supplying the plywood, the blades, and everything so that you don't have to worry about that. And you should have fun doing it. And when you get here, if you get done with one and you want to make a second one, you can. Is there any questions that I?
George, I have a question. In the library, we have a scroll saw magazines and plans, right?
Yes, we do. There's several books that we have in there that deals with a scroll saw. Some of them are real fancy patterns and everything. One thing I have is I have this book here that gives a real good explanation about the scroll saw and what it can do. So it's a nice one to have. And the scroll saw magazine he was asking about is this one right here. I can't recall what the price of it is, but I get 4 copies a year. And typically they will have some type of project for any type of scrolling you want to do. Making puzzles, marquetry, portraits, wildlife, toys, intarsia. So they cover a lot.
Yes, would you go into the different techniques of putting a pattern on the wood?
Okay, some people might think, oh, well, you just get a pattern right under the wood. You will do that once. Because when you get done and try to pull it off, you will take it and throw it away. What I do is I put tape down on the board, and then using a spray adhesive, I spray the back of the pattern and put it onto the tape. And then now I have the pattern on the board so I can make my cuts.
What tape?
I use blue tape, painter's tape. I mean, it's nice and cheap, and get it as wide as you can because it'll make it easier for you.
Can you talk a little bit about the process of making that bowl? Is the table tilted to make the bowl?
Yes, to make a bowl like this, you will need to tilt the table. Probably, it varies. It could be anywhere from about 25 to 30 degrees, depending on how thick the board is and how thick you want the rim to be. And then what you have to do is you have to drill a hole at that same angle for each of the lines. And then you just cut them out. And if, like on this one here where the table moves so that you can get the angle, then you also have to worry about keeping the board up by the blade so that it cuts through it. There are other ones like Excalibur, Jet, Pegasus. They have ones where the head pivots. So the plate always stays parallel to the floor. So gravity doesn't impact you as bad. Anything else I can answer for you guys?
What do you have at home model-wise?
At home?
What do you have at home model-wise?
I have the DeWalt at home. If you are interested, I am typically here whenever I have shop duty on Saturdays, and then also on Tuesday and Thursday mornings. And if none of that works for you and you really want to get involved with it, just send me an email and we'll arrange a time. I'm very flexible on the time and everything. And I enjoy working on the scroll saw, and I like to see more than one of them operating at a time. I mean, even on Saturday. Yeah, except for when the sun gets over to a certain place, then you have to start closing the shades so that the light doesn't reflect off the plate into your face. You can't see things.
George, I picked up a old Delta scroll saw at a garage sale for 20 bucks. Had to go through it, clean it up. What is the price range from cheapest to top of the line? Give us an idea.
Oh, as I recall right now, like the DeWalt, like this one here, it's probably running for about $500 to $600. The Excalibur, Seiko, Jet, and Pegasus, they probably run $1,000 or more. Now, you can go to Harbor Freight, and Jim would like that, and get a real cheap one for probably $100 to $200. But I wouldn't do that. Go ahead and if you really, first of all, if you're interested in doing it, come down here and play on these machines a while and find out if you really want to do it. And then I would recommend a DeWalt because it's a good quality and they will last.
I'm just curious why it's not a good idea to sticky back the paper and put it on the wood.
When you try to remove the paper, you're going to have to use mineral spirits to get it off. You'll have to use mineral spirits to get it off because the glue soaks into the wood. And that's why you use a tape. Makes it a whole lot easier. Any other questions or anything?
Do you like carbon transfer paper?
You can use carbon transfer paper and transfer it onto the board that way. Some of the time, like a lot of people have been making arrowheads and stuff. You could have a template and just use a template to draw it out on the board itself and then cut it out. But I have not done that. And other people have done that because they want to make items a certain way. Also, you can make compound cuts on a scroll saw. And that process is basically you cut one side, then you rotate it 90 degrees and cut the other side. And it should come out okay. Here in September, I think it was, I taught a class on compound cutting where I had them make a back scratcher. And it was a real simple thing to do. And one thing I have found out is that you usually start with a piece of wood that's longer than what you need, so that when you make the cuts, you leave the wood attached to it. That way you don't have to try to tape it all up so that you can do the other side. So at least that's the way I do it. I don't, any other questions? Okay.
What do you use for starting this?
Say what?
What do you use for drilling holes to start?
Okay. Most of the time I use a 1/16 inch blade. Most of the time. Some of the times, like on this puzzle here, there's no open space for it.
I'm going to move your mic up just a little bit.
Okay. On this one, I used a bit that's a number 60. And a number 5 blade slides through it. And on this one here, I believe I started right there. Right at the mouth of this top dolphin here.
Is there one manufacturer that does better with the blades?
Everybody has their own preferences. Olson makes them, Pegasus, Flying Dutchman. Nyqua is one that I just started using, and I like it because the depth of the blade is just a little bit smaller than what it is for the Pegasus blades. So it goes through that number 60 hole a lot easier. But again, it's your preference. A lot of people swear by Olson. Steve Good swears by Pegasus. But you can use any blade you want to. In all these machines, we use pinless blades. What that means is that the ends of the blade does not have a pin sticking through them. Some of the older scroll saws, you have to get pinned blades so that they'll fit into it. You won't be able to do real small fretwork with those blades because you have to make the hole big enough for that to get through. But with the pinless ones, you don't have that issue. Any other questions or comments? Or? Yes.
When does the SIG meet?
The SIG meetings have been discontinued because I was having members of one. Was having meetings of one person. So, but if enough people show interest and everything, get in touch with me saying they want the SIG to start back up, I'll start the SIG back up. Any other questions or?
Thank you, George. You know, one thing about one thing about scroll saws that George didn't mention. You know, if you're in an apartment or something, tough to bring a table saw in there and not have the neighbors banging on the walls. But you know, scroll saw, I know a couple people that have brought those into home. They had an empty bedroom with a wood floor, and you can sit in there and do it, and it's a great way to spend a nice quiet afternoon at home doing that. You can spend a whole afternoon cutting something like this fretwork kind of stuff. And it's pretty relaxing. I've done a fair amount of that, and it can be fun. So George, thank you very much, like we do to all of our folks that do presentations. Get a free cup.
Well,
See, that's what you get paid for coming out here to do this. So,
thank you.
You know, you're welcome, George. Thanks. Guys, I want to wish everybody a great Thanksgiving. We want you to enjoy yourselves and your families. Enjoy the time you have with your families. You know, my family's all back east, so I get to go once a year and see them, thankfully. And but everybody have a good holiday. And the only thing we have left is we need a motion to adjourn. So moved. Second. Okay. Voted. And everybody can stay to help clean up a little bit. We would appreciate it. And thank you all for coming. Have a good holiday.
A special thank you to our guest today, to the Guild's Leadership Committee, and to all of our sponsors. For more information about the Guild, upcoming classes, and events, please visit our website kcwg.org. You can also find us on social media by searching for Kansas City Woodworkers Guild. And remember to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications.